These are 5 drinks that can potentially help with the menopause. Number 1, probiotic drinks. So these are things like yogurts or kefirs, fermented milks. These are linked to low risks of cancer, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, which all increase, unfortunately, postmenopausally. But they're also useful for bone health as well, which again is another very important issue for menopausal women as well. Trials in postmenopausal women found that probiotic supplements increased bone mineral density, suggesting it could potentially slow down bone loss. And also with respect to menopausal symptoms, there was a small trial of 60 menopausal women. 100 grams of a prebiotic-rich yogurt daily drink was given after lunch, and that lowered menopausal symptoms, anxiety, and depression as well. There's also some evidence of improvements in mental well-being as well with consuming a probiotic yogurt drink. It improved anxiety and stress and quality of life in postmenopausal women. Why might it have this effect? Well, if you look at this diagram that I'm pulling up right now on the screen, you've got menopausal dysbiosis. So this is essentially the imbalance of microbes that you find in the large intestine, so your bacteria, viruses, nematodes. These become further imbalanced postmenopausally in response to the changing milieu of hormones. So a lack of estrogen, a lack of testosterone can lead to these issues. So anything that can improve that micro composition, such as a probiotic drink, can potentially mitigate against some of these issues. If we take, for example, osteoporosis, like I just said, there appears to be an increase in calcium absorption. With breast cancer, there is a lower incidence of breast cancer and genitourinary symptoms. Again, that is very, very common in postmenopausal women. And also, even in endometrial hyperplasia as well, there's a reduction in pH, a reduction in pathogenic bacteria. This can potentially be improved with probiotic drinks. So if you're looking for a drink that could help with those symptoms, and I think particularly from the perspective of bone mineral density, then you might want to try a fermented dairy drink. The second drink is red clover tea. This may lower the incidence of hot flushes, a very common symptom. There was a meta-analysis of 8 trials that found that red clover supplementation taken for 3 months resulted in an average 1.7 fewer hot flushes daily compared to placebo, particularly in postmenopausal women experiencing at least 5 hot flushes daily. So this might be something that you want to experiment with. How much you will require is really based on the total isoflavone content, with around 80 milligrams per day plus showing the most effective dose. Why might this be having an effect? Well, it is a source of isoflavones, and these isoflavones have estrogen-like effects and polyphenols with antioxidant effects as well. What happens is that these isoflavones are further broken down and metabolized into Ginsin and Ginsin. These might be familiar to you because they're also isoflavones that we find in soy-based products. They also contain a multitude of different polyphenols that have direct antioxidant effects, but I will hasten to say we do need a lot more research in this area, particularly of supplements and herbal teas. There's no real evidence about long-term effects, and many of these trials were funded as well by manufacturers of red clover tea. So there's a clear sort of financial incentive to make sure that the results are positive. So this might be something you want to try. I can't really seem to find any issues with regards to side effects from the isoflavones, as they're relatively small doses. So it might be something that you want to try. Just a quick one. If you're enjoying this content, you will love my mini series on inflammation. I go through the different types of foods that you should be having, what inflammation actually is, plus lifestyle practices to reduce inflammation. You can get it for free right now in the link in the caption below. Back to the podcast. The third drink to potentially try is ginseng. This is really popular in Korea, where ginseng is grown and you find it in teas, tinctures, and even the sort of tarry, viscous mixture that you mix in with hot water. And there is some evidence that it can improve menopausal symptoms. There was a recent umbrella review conducted that showed that ginseng was beneficial for things like fatigue, sexual function, metabolic indicators, and inflammatory markers that trended down with people taking ginseng every single day. The reason why is because it contains these unique compounds called ginosides, which show anti-inflammatory and antioxidative stress properties. In single dose studies, the amounts are pretty far ranging. They range from 200 milligrams up to 3,000 milligrams per day. So I would feel like a lot more research is needed to determine the most effective type or dose. But if you are trying ginseng, I would start at the lower dose. It could potentially give you more energy, more vigor, reduce fatigue, obviously, and potentially help with hot flushes as well. But we definitely need more evidence on that too. The fourth drink for menopausal health is grapefruit juice. So grapefruit juice definitely has some benefits for heart health. Now, you might be thinking, okay, why do I need to care about heart health postmenopausally? When you have low amounts of estrogen, it does increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. So grapefruit, if it does have some benefits to reducing arterial stiffness in postmenopausal women and reducing the risk of heart disease and stroke, it's something to consider. How much? Well, some studies have shown that 300 mils, providing around 210 milligrams of a phytochemical called naringin glycosides that are found in grapefruit, can potentially reduce arterial stiffness compared to match control drinks without any flavanones. So there appears to be something going on with the flavanones, naringin and hesperidin within citrus fruits like grapefruit juice. So if there's anything that can improve cardiovascular health for postmenopausal women, I'm definitely going to be a fan of it, because heart health is something that we all need to be aware of in this cohort. The intake of citrus fruits is also tied to improved lipid profile, so markers of cholesterol, improved body weight, lower blood pressure. Citrus fruits really do contain some really interesting flavonoids that have these anti-inflammatory effects. You want to try and use the whole citrus fruit as possible. So cut segments out, put them into salads, add other elements to add more flavor, like mint, for example. You can add them to fermented yogurt bowls to give you two of the things that I was talking about already for menopausal health. Have fun with using different citrus fruits in your diet. And the final one is sage tea. This has been shown to improve hot flushes as well. There's a meta-analysis of 4 clinical trials, just 4, that found that daily sage extract of 100 milligrams lowered the frequency of hot flushes in postmenopausal women. It's also tied to reductions in depression and anxiety, night sweats, improvements in memory and cognitive performance in the same way that rosemary has been found to as well. This might be one of the reasons why ginseng is also popular as well, because that has some cognitive boosting properties. The reasons why are because it's a good source of polyphenols, so phenolic acid such as caffeic acid that you also find in coffee, and flavonoids that are considered phytoestrogens as well. So they mimic the effects of estrogen, which is going to be lower during this time. So those are 5 drinks that you might want to explore when it comes to helping with menopause symptoms. Now, I mentioned naturally balanced hormones. I'm not a big fan of that term because it gives the impression that you have to help maintain and balance your hormones yourself, whereas actually your body is very, very intelligent, and putting it in the right environment and feeding it the right nutrients allows it to look after itself. In menopause, you have a crushingly low amount of very, very important hormones. So estrogen, testosterone, like I mentioned, and you need to manually improve these and increase these by having exogenous hormones. There are a few things that you can do to try and boost the levels of estrogenic activity using phytoestrogens, for example, in soy and sage tea. But the mainstay of treatment will be replacing that hormone. And you can do that via hormone replacement therapy. And we've done tons of podcasts on that subject as well. If you want to learn about the worst drinks for longevity, check out this video that I've done here that looks at the popular drinks that are on the market that are actually antithetical to healthy aging.